Have.
It must be you.
That's... Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Directors for Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District. We'll call this meeting to order and we'll begin this evening with having Director Kelly lead us in a pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Director Kelly. The open session meeting is videotaped for cablecast on Metro Cable 14, replayed on Monday, October 13, 2014, at 6 p.m. and Tuesday, October 14, 2014, at 12 p.m. on Channel 14 and webcast on www.sacmetrocable.tv. This open session meeting is also available for viewing on the district's website at www.metrofire.ca.gov. Now we have a public opportunity to discuss our items on or not on the agenda, and I understand that we have some speaker cards.
Yes, there are two speakers this evening. The first is Mr. Roger Mitchell.
Mr. Mitchell, I think you know the routine. If you'd come up to the dais, and not that we have to remind you, but we have 3 minutes per.
Good evening, Board of Directors, Director Gould, our Director, Director Gary Monk, Chief, staff. Just here this evening to remind you of our fundraising dinner again on the October 25th at 6 p.m. start time at the Rilland Alberta Recreation and Park District. The funding will all go to the restoration of Rilland, the second fire truck, as well as Old Station 111. So we've invited all of you. You're cordially invited. When we handed out our flyer at your last meeting, I believe it said that the speaker was to be announced. And we've been working with a gentleman that we know is an expert in the restoration field, expert in fire department equipment, has visited the station on numerous times to keep track on what we're doing. So tonight, I would like to tell you that, at least in my humble estimation, he's a world-class speaker in this world on these. So it is with a great deal of pleasure I tell you this evening that the new chief of Metro Fire District, Chief Mark Wells, will be our speaker that evening. So with that, I hope that has all the directors' attentions that will be there, and maybe the new staff will accompany Chief Wells. So thank you very much. Do I have any questions?
Thank you
very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Board Clerk.
The next speaker is Miss Linda Lewis.
Ms. Lewis, good evening. Looks like you've got your posse with you.
My name's Linda Lewis. I'm the Communications Manager at Sacramento Regional Fire EMS Communications Center. This is our IT Manager, Joyce Starosiak, and our Executive Assistant, Wendy Crosswaite. Our Chief Executive Director, Teresa Murray, could not be here tonight because she's out of town on vacation. This is for Chief Henke. Chief, on behalf of all the staff at SRF ECC, we'd like to thank you for all of the support you've given to our organization. And we want to wish you happiness, good success, and all the best in the next chapter of your life. We have a memento for you, and it reads, presented to Fire Chief Kurt Henke for your dedicated service and support of the Sacramento Regional Fire EMS Communications Center. Your loyalty and friendship will be long remembered. Thank you, sir.
I would just say, yeah, Brenda, you don't need to take pictures of me anymore. The less pictures taken of me, the less wanted posters by the International that'll probably be out there. At the end of the day, I would say that the Sacramento Regional Fire and EMS Communications, really the hats off go to you folks. You guys have done a tremendous job. That communications center 3 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago was a challenge. And what they have done has just been phenomenal. It's not me, it was Scott Cockrum, it was the people that were there. But I certainly appreciate it. Thank you for that. We did, you guys, and I think there's an air program here today that I have a lot of arrows sticking out of me on. I support it 100%. You guys do a great job, and you're our backbone. The reason we have our EMS and everything that we have is because of dispatch. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, any other speaker cards? Thank you very much then. We'll continue with our agenda. I'll entertain a motion for consent.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any questions on the consent agenda? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Director Monk?
Aye.
Wood?
Aye.
Scheidegger?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
And Gould?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as a matter of business tonight, I'd like to just let you know we are going to be changing up the order of the agenda this evening. I have been promised that we have a closed session item and a closed session that will last no longer than 5 minutes. I'd like all of you to set your watches to ensure that that's the honest truth. But what we're going to do is go into closed session. We'll come out of closed session, and then we're going to take items 2 and 3 in the action area. We'll have those completed. We'll then finish with reports, committee and delegate reports, and then we will go back to the first item on the action item, and we will finish this evening with an action item. Probably one of the more important action items that we've taken in quite a long time. So at this time, we'll adjourn to closed session. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to open our session again. We're going to start with our action item number 2, bid award for helicopter retrofit and modernization. Assistant Chief Taylor.
Good evening, directors, Chief Hinkie, audience. If I can also call Chief Lozano up. My name is Darren Taylor. I'm an Assistant Chief of the A-Shift Operations. Tonight I'm standing before you to discuss the a possible approval on the retrofit of Metro Firecopters 1. Basically, I'm here in brief discussion to give you a brief discussion and recommendation to award an RFFP to PacWest Helicopters. A little history is in 2011, it was determined that Copter 1 was in need of a rebuild and basically a retrofit for the airframe itself. Helicopters, airframes are recommended to be rebuilt at approximately every 10 years. Currently, Copter 1 is about 2 years overdue for that recommended rebuild. And then in 2013, we put out an RFFP, and after careful review of all 3 bids under the bid criteria, PacWest Helicopters was determined to be the lowest responsible bidder. Due to the budget constraints at the time, Metro Fire requested a revised proposal to lower the cost, and in June 2014, the proposed budgetary cap was set at $1.1 million, and the items were removed from the original rebuild plan. So when we originally went out for the RFFP, we had a set criteria for everyone that was bidding on it. The numbers came in higher than $1.1 million. Then we went through some budget constraints. Direction was given to Chief Lozano and his staff, who's in the audience today, that we need to take out some of the items. And then with that, we put the budget cap at $1.1 million, which they took out some of the actual retrofit to the frame. And if you have questions on that, Chief Lozano can answer those. As you've read in your board report, the rebuild is quite extensive. And this request for the needed rebuild is to ensure that the best to our abilities from Metro Fire as, in a sense, their bosses, the safety of the members of the agency that fly our helicopters to enhance our operational capabilities of today's future needs in the air operations and the district missions requirements. And as we've moved through the air operations world, as we've done through the past, and you hear about all the calls that were going on, if you notice, they're getting closer and closer. Our mission's expanding, and the expectations that we put on Chief Lozano and his staff is to figure out how to make our missions expand. But when we expand our missions, we need to do it safely. And as I've said, many, many board meetings in a row during the ops reports, I'm responsible for them. And I want to do the best I can as their boss to be responsible to make sure to ensure their safety. And when you fly that thing, you want to be able to get into the helicopter and know it's going to take off and it's going to land. So that's kind of what this is about. So the fiscal impact, the cost of all repairs, modifications, and equipments will not exceed 1.1 million. Funds from the reserve account will be utilized to facilitate the UH-1H Copter 1 modernization project. And our recommendation is that staff recommends the Board of Directors to award the RFP to PacWest Helicopters and approve the expenditures of the funds to retrofit Copter 1. And if there's any questions?
Thank you, Chief. Members of the board, questions? Go ahead.
Thank you, Chief, and I'm glad we're improving the overdue modifications. The reductions that we made, understand budget and all of that, how does that fit into safety?
Very good. Hey, directors, good evening. Michael Zano, newly promoted Assistant Chief in CRRD, Community Risk Reduction Division. Also still going to retain oversight of air operations. Thank you for that question. We actually toiled over that, what we could take away. So when in the world of budget versus safety and nice to haves and must haves, we took away the nice to haves and we kept the must haves. So in your packets, you'll look, we talked about the airframe modifications and the improvements we make to those, which actually makes the whole airframe stronger so that when we lift the weight that we already lift, we do it more safely. So we kept all of those safety features in this modification.
Okay, so the safety elements were not reduced?
Absolutely not.
Okay,
No.
thank you.
Other questions from members of the board? Go ahead.
At one time, we had, we had presentations on the helicopter. This doesn't certify the frame, correct?
Correct. So what this will do is they'll take it down and they will completely inspect it, and it will be zero timed. Certification side, we're not looking for a specific build-up certification other than that it's been inspected and that when it comes out of PacWest helicopters, they will certify that, yes, it is zero timed. Yes, they've looked at everything, they've repaired anything that needed to be repaired. That will be their certification. But as far as like a SD, so when a standard certification for that airframe,
We don't take
we won't,
passengers. Right.
correct.
We don't need it.
It will not change the way we operate the helicopter at all. We will not take rides, passengers. We will not change that part of our operation. But it will come out of PacWest with a zero-timed airframe, which is a big deal for us.
So, can I ask, do they remove the skin, everything, so that every inch of the frame is examined?
So yes, and I will answer this to the best of my abilities. I actually have our mechanic, Steve Heidelberger, in the audience. So if I make a mistake, Steve, just come on up and, yes, they will remove all the panels. They will remove the skin in the areas where they need to certify it and look at it. They will take it all the way down to airframe and they will inspect it. If they have to, they will x-ray it, and then they will paint it and put it back together. And so at that point, that's the only way they can give us the zero time on it.
Okay, so then, $1 million upgrade to the helicopter, million plus, when would we expect to probably have significantly expensive upgrades or repairs to it in the future?
So
Depends on how things go, you know.
Absolutely. So it's aviation. So hopefully, if everything stayed on schedule, things time out. So there are going to be expenditures along the way, but you wouldn't have to do this kind of a modernization upgrade for at least another 10 years.
Okay, thank you.
And the only thing I would add to that is forward thinking. They were able to get a bunch of airframes. If you remember, we've got a bunch of bubble-wrapped airframes. And so the next time we get ready to do a retrofit, those airframes in the next 8 years or whenever we have to do Copter 2 again, will be there to help defer a lot of that cost out in doing that.
We can't have a garage sale and get rid of some of those and lower the cost? Didn't we get like 18 or we get some crazy number of airframes?
We actually picked up 6.
6, can't fly 6 at the same time.
No,
get rid
but
of
we want to,
five.
but they're valuable, so we
Sure,
want
that's
to
what I'm
hold
saying,
them.
sell 'em.
But we want to hold them. They're going to be worth more money in 6, 7 years than they are today. And we've got to hold on to them for a certain period of time anyways.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I
Go
move
ahead.
that we modernize and retrofit the
I second it.
Okay, I have a first and a second on the item. Questions, any other questions from board members? Thank you, gentlemen, for your fine presentation. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Director Monk?
Aye.
Wood?
Aye.
Scheidegger?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
And Gould?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Let's now move on to action item number 3, appoint a delegate to the Sacramento Regional Fire and EMS Communications Center, which we just had representatives from. Chief Wells?
Good evening, directors, Fire Chief Hinkie. As we all know, our friend Chief Cochran went off to the great north beyond, and he actually sat and was our primary delegate to the Communications Center, the Sacramento Fire EMS Communications Center Joint Powers Association, actually. And so tonight, we need to take action to reappoint a replacement for him as the primary. As you know, we also have an alternate delegate, which is Director Monk, who currently serves in this position as the alternate. So tonight, we are looking for a recommendation from the board to appoint Deputy Chief Chris Holbrook to that position. It is in the past practice, I believe Chief Hinkie, Chief Aaron, Chief Cockrum, we've had a sitting deputy chief level as the primary because of the currency of the current information systems and the current issues in the region on there. So we would like to appoint Chief Holbrook to that position, and that would be our recommendation tonight.
Okay, thank you very much, Chief Wells. I guess we need to ask Chief Holbrook. Okay, that looked like a somewhat affirmative. All right, members of the board, any questions or comments for Chief Wells on the recommendation for the comm center delegate?
If I could.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Once again, reading this, I was reminded that we had a great guy walk out the door at Metro Fire. And I'm sure he served this position very well. And he was one of the great guys. Don't get me wrong. He wasn't the only one. He was just one of many great guys we have in this organization. And I can't think of somebody better to take his place than Chief Holbrook.
I would agree.
I agree. Okay, I'll entertain a motion then.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay, that's a third then.
Third, fourth.
Please call the roll.
Director Monk?
Aye.
Wood?
Aye.
Scheidegger?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
And Gould?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. We'll now move on to reports. I have no report in sitting in for President Orzali, but to wish him our best. Move on to Chief's report. Fire Chief Hinkie.
I'll reserve my comments till after the last action item.
Thank you very much this evening. It says Chief Holbrook, but he doesn't look like him, so we'll go with Chief Taylor.
Good evening, Board of Directors. Chief Hinkie, Darren Taylor, Assistant Chief of Operations. I'm here tonight to give you this board meeting's operational report. Metro Fire, between our last board meetings, ran a total of 3,280 calls. We had 6 working structure fires, 11 vegetation fires. Our crews ran 1,845 EMS calls. They transported 1,224 of those calls. That gave the district a 66% transport rate. Our partners in the EMS world, AMR, had 2 calls and they transported two times, obviously 100% transport rate. Our crews logged 3,453 training hours. They've attended 32 pub ed events. And currently, as you guys have seen on the news lately, there's been just a little uptick in some fires. We currently have a fire going on up on I-80 at Applegate. There we have a Type 3 strike team, so we've sent 5 Type 3 engines with a strike team leader and assistant. The King Fire is still active, even though it has been contained, and we have 2 personnel there basically walking the fire lines as fire line paramedics. The Dog Rock Fire is, we have 4 personnel at, and that is the one in Yosemite where the S2 went down. And So 4 personnel there on the incident management team, Team 3. But in total, we have 30 employees of the district out doing what they do best, and that's representing our organization in the state on wildland fires. Also up here with me tonight is, as you guys know, is Captain Michelle Item, and she is going to talk about a couple things that we in operations are extremely proud of, and we are definitely out in front of everyone else. And Director Gould, with that big old smile on your face, I'm going to say, every time you say that we're a vanguard agency, ever since you heard that word, it's stuff that she's doing right now that we kind of take for granted, but it is vanguard-ness of what goes on nationally when they report out our organization. So Captain Item's going to give you an update on some of the stuff that she's taking care of right now.
Thank you, Chief. Captain Item?
Good evening, Directors, Chief Hinkey, Michelle Item, Captain, Public Information Officer. We have had a really busy couple weeks. So a couple things to touch on. I don't know if you all had the opportunity to see it. CPR story that hit the news last week about a little 11-year-old girl named Skylar Berry that did CPR after learning it here at Fire Camp with Metro Fire. That story has reached 6.8 million viewers. It was shown on Good Morning America, went from Anchorage, Alaska to Florida to Connecticut. So that's very exciting. I just spoke with her mother on my way over here, and Meredith Vieras from The View is flying out on Saturday to film them at their home, and then flying them out to New York on Tuesday, so it'll continue reaching more people. It's not just about Metro Fire, as wonderful it is that we're a part of it. It is truly reaching out to the community and the country as a whole to show, hey, this is a valuable thing, learn it. It takes 5 minutes, it'll save a life. So for us to get to be part of that is unbelievable. So that's one thing. On a local level, our viewership for stories on anything that's specific to Metro Fire that we've done has been 373,880 over the past 2 weeks. So we had great stories on our crews that were at the King Fire, in addition to fires that were here, anything that we've done. Along with the King Fire, our incident management team was the initial response that went up there. We had very integral role that a whole bunch of us played up there. With that, there was 20,716 stories that aired about the King Fire. And again, our crews were a very, very integral part in that fire. So last but not least, with CPR, we have personally taught roughly 900 people hands-only CPR, as in hands-on, getting down there with them. Since we started this program, our reach has been to the millions. We have 2 events coming up this month. We are on the 18th at the Food Source in Rio Linda, as well as a week later at Anatolia's Oktoberfest. So we'll be teaching more CPR, and again, we'll be reaching as many people as we can. Last but not least, working with Community Risk Reduction. It is Fire Prevention Week, so we put out a challenge, a contest to all elementary schools in our jurisdiction, sent 100 letters to principals inviting their students to come up with our slogan for next year's Fire Prevention Week. So it's a slogan, a drawing. However many we get in, we'll pick the winning slogan and drawing. It'll be the one that's most relevant to our community, to the communities we serve. And that will be what we use as our public outreach, everything for Fire Prevention Week next year. The winner, in addition, gets a VIP tour of a fire station, their local station, as well as lunch with firefighters. So that's the things that we've got going on. We're excited, got some great stuff, and thank you. Any questions?
Captain Item, I have a question. I heard a nasty rumor that's out there that we actually have a pink fire truck being driven by firefighters.
It's a personal choice.
Just yes or no?
We do have a pink fire engine that will be here at your next board meeting.
That's what I wanted to hear. Very good. Questions? Thank you very much. General Counsel's report?
Thank you, Director. The board met in closed session to conference with its labor negotiator. There was no action taken. The only other thing I'd like to say, I know there's going to be other people speaking about and to Chief Hinkey, but I would just like to say for the record and in public that, you know, I was doing, in my law firm, was doing legal work for the district for some years before Chief Hinkey came on as fire chief. And once he became fire chief, I became the general counsel. And I'd like to thank him very much for his support and his help in doing the day-to-day things a lot of you guys don't see in carrying out the legal things that have to be done on a day-to-day basis. For the support he's given myself, my law partners, the attorneys who work for me, and my staff, I really appreciate that. And I wish him the best of health and happiness and luck in life as you move forward. And the last thing is just a question, what's up with that helmet in your office? Are you taking it? Are you leaving it for Wells? Is it available for photographs after this?
Wow.
The office is empty, but I do have a picture of Mark Wells wearing it and some other risky stuff he had on, and I'll have
That
those
was
at his
risky. He
I'll
said
have
risky.
I'll have that at his retirement
Going
dinner down
downhill.
the road.
Thank you, Councilor Lavra. Local 522, is anyone, okay, I see someone coming. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Directors, Chief Hinkie. A couple things going on this weekend as far as 522 is concerned. We have 2 memorial services, one at the Fireman's Exempt Plot, one also down at the Capitol Memorial. We also have a Code 3 clash right here around the corner at the softball complex. It's going to be Rancho Cordova Police versus Sac City Fire. It's the inaugural event, and they're planning on making it a yearly event and making it larger every time. We'd also like to extend a great thanks to the agency for providing us a piece of apparatus that the Local 522 and the Firefighters Association could have wrapped in not just for breast cancer, but for all cancer awareness. And last but not least, we'd like to sincerely thank Chief Hinkie for his service and congratulate him on his retirement.
Thank you, sir. We'll now move on to committee and delegate reports. We'll begin with the Executive Committee, which has no report. Com Center, JPA. Anyone here to provide a report? Wow, that's pretty good for just being appointed. All right, very good. We'll move on. California Fire and Rescue Training.
Yes,
Director Kelly.
Mr. Chairman, the California Fire Rescue Training JPA met approximately 2 weeks ago. We've hired a new executive director, Mr. Grijalva, and for those of you that may not know him, I will liken him to Reggie Jackson coming to coach your son in hitting a baseball. I think we couldn't have done better. I know that was with a great deal of assistance from Chief Hinkie. And he made us aware of many things, and one of them is that they had projected a great number of courses being taught out of that facility that they're in currently. And those projections didn't quite come to fruition. So as budgets were based on those projections, they are trying to figure out how to regain some revenue and right the ship. And I don't think that there could be a better guy after hearing the summary that he provided to us at that meeting. So I'm happy about 2 things. One, that we're aware of the problems, and 2, that he didn't run once that he discovered the problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Kelly. I'm assuming that with Director Jones' absence, do we have anyone on the Finance Committee that'd like to report out? You guys quit pointing, just one of you do it.
Finance Committee met this evening and with a brief report on our finances from Ken Campo. I want to let you know that we are right on track with where we were last year. We're doing very well, and hopefully with the projections that we're given, we'll be doing the same for the rest of the year. Also, OPEB, we are continuing to make our contributions to OPEB. We have in the past several months had presentations from CalPERS and everything on the status of OPEB and the interest rates and everything we're gaining by making the full contributions that we're doing are significant. Any reduction in that and failing to meet the ARC would drop us from 7.29% down to below 5 in the 4 range. So it's important for us to maintain the course and keep that fully funded. All of our retirees and all of you out there that are working rely on that OPEB for your retirements and medical and everything. So it's important for all of us that we continue that and find ways to continue to fund it. And sort of that's it.
Director Wood, any?
Couldn't have said it better.
Okay, very good. All right, I don't believe we have anybody from the policy committee that wants to chat with us, so we'll move on to member questions and comments, and then we'll finish this evening taking action on action item number 1. So let's start with Director Kelly.
At this time, I have nothing to say necessarily, except that tell Mr. Mitchell I will make every effort to attend your event on the 25th.
Thank you. Mr. Clark.
Yes. I'd like to thank Chief Henke for his service. You came on board during some tumultuous times. I appreciate your stewardship during that period of time, and I wish you lots of luck, good health, and happiness during your retirement, and may you stay active. I know a lot of animals out there are going to be nervous now that you're going to have more time to go out there and shoot them. So, but I really do want to thank you for your service. You've done a good job, and we totally appreciate it. Also, I want to wish Chief Cockrum lots of luck and success in his new position over in, I think it's in Washington? Yeah. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Director Clark. Well, now, Director Monk.
Just a couple of things. I participated in a safety fair at Orchard Hardware and Supply and Antelope area, and they had a lot of people show up. We had Truck 26 out there for the kids. We gave away fire hats that we arranged to have purchased for them. And we had a very good reception. First time I've seen the Army's firefighting unit out of Roseville. That's like a big ARF unit that they use in firefighting. So it was really an impressive show. The kids had a great time. All the kids wanted to climb the ladder. I had a lot of pictures taken of the kids in our equipment and wanted to pass on some congratulations and everything to the district for being involved in that from Melissa Cook at Orchard Hardware and Supply. And I think that's it for now.
Thank you, Director. Director Wood?
I got to go out last week to Station 61 and see the rollout of the pink wrapped engine. As always, Captain Item and the rest of the individuals that work with her on the public information section did a great job getting publicity out there. We had a fairly large crowd out there to see this engine off, and it was a very good event. And again, I say it, it seems like I say it every month, but can't say enough good things about the work that Captain Item and her staff do in getting the word out about the things that we do well here at Metro. I think we need to end our meeting with a moment of silence for pilot Jeffrey Craig Hunt, who was the pilot that was killed in the Yosemite fire. So I'd like to ask that you do that. And then finally, Chief, I appreciate all your time you took. Every time I dialed your number, you were always there to answer it or call me right back. And I appreciate everything you did and all your help over the last year and a half, almost 2 years now. So thank you so much for everything.
Thank you, Director Wood. Director Scheidegger.
Thank you. It's frequent that we sing the praises of the men and women of Metro, and I think it's really important that we understand the importance of the work of Captain Item and the PIO staff, as you just said, Director Wood, that this information gets out there and the public understands how we're doing a fantastic job on front lines out there. Thank you, Captain, for your part in keeping the public aware. And I just have to add, the public just doesn't realize how fortunate we've been to have you, Chief Henke. Thank you. Thank you for your leadership, your vision. And of course, like everybody else here, I wish you all the best in the future. And I know you will have a great and long future chasing those critters and a lot of other good things. It's important for you to know that you've given us some great leadership and vision while you're here, and a lot of that is going to result in your legacy and things that will follow and continue on because of you. And on the behalf of the public that I represent and myself, thank you very much, sir. Best to you.
Thank you, Director Scheidegger. Ladies and gentlemen, now what we're going to do is we are going to have a presentation of Resolution 2014-99, honoring Fire Chief Kurt P. Hinkey, who will be retiring shortly. After the board presentation, I will then entertain a motion from my colleagues to adopt this resolution by action, at which time we will then close this meeting with a moment of silence for the CAL FIRE pilot who lost his life this week. So with that, Chief Hinkey, if you'll join me. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have had, I believe, 4 or 5 fire chiefs at Sac Metro, and this has got to be the longest resolution that I've ever seen for a fire chief. I'm going to ask that each of you, if you'd like to come up later on and read the whereases. That will take you the better part of a half hour. So to kind of sum this up, what I'd like to do is read into the public record, however, the therefore be it resolves, because those are really a summary of who Chief Hinkey is and what he's meant to this agency. And so I'm going to read those out loud, and then we're going to present this to Chief Hinkey. So it says, now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Metro Fire expresses its highest respect, deepest appreciation, and sincerest thanks to Kurt P. Hinkey for his many years of skilled performance and deepest commitment to the fire service. Be it resolved that this foregoing resolution number 2014-99 was passed and adopted on October 9, 2014 by the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District Board of Directors. Chief Hinkey, congratulations. Thank you.
Mr. Read your mind.
Go stand in front of Kurt or behind
We balanced? We're good?
Are we? Fair and balanced.
Can you address the group? Yeah, do you want me from the podium or from?
Wherever you're comfortable. Your show.
Well, to the Board of Directors, President Rosali, who's not here tonight, on vacation, and Director Jones and Director Pearson, and the board that is present, I'm touched. When I came here in 2009 in October, this was a very interesting organization, to say the least. And the challenges that had been presented by the worst economic collapse in our lifetime were huge. And this agency was definitely struggling for direction and to get traction with the media and with the public and to get the support and to do the things that we needed to do. And I could sit up here and think about all the things, and President Orzali made us keep a binder of all of them, that we, meaning all of us, accomplished. Because as I said to the employees this afternoon, it isn't one man or one woman who makes things happen. It's a team of people that come together that have a common vision. And of course, that starts with you, the Board of Directors. I have had a long and storied career I spent 15 years as a union president, 2 as a vice president, and I've spent over 16 years as a chief officer. I have dealt with literally dozens of elected bodies, city councils, school boards, you name it. So I think I'm at a pretty good position to say this. There has never been a more professional, direct, clear-thinking, supportive, intelligent, dynamic, elected body in my 33-year career that I have ever observed or had the privilege to work with than the one that is seated here today and those people that happen to be on vacation. Unequivocally, period, end of story. And that says something because that sets the direction for the organization to move forward. It starts at the top. To my command staff, I've never been so honored and lucky to work with the highest performing caliber group of people on the planet. They really, truly are exceptional. And to the guys in the stations, if they don't like to hear that they're the best in the world, tough shit. If you want to fire me for that, my severance package is still intact until I believe on Monday. But they are. And our management team has done a heavy lift. And all of them have worked 60 and 70 and 80 hours. And day in and day out, 6, 7 days a week, have just done phenomenal. And I think that's said by the fact that our command team now has fire chiefs in Washington. We have a fire chief in the city next door, although I think the lobotomy has already taken place. That happens. I got to add humor in there for Walt. But it shows that we have put very, very active and classy people in positions of authority and leadership positions in other organizations. And I think that says something about the organization from which we have built here today. To the men and women out there in regards to that put their lives on the line every day, without question the best in the world. They're incredible. They do an incredible job. And to them, you're not always going to agree with the leader. People didn't agree with Patton. They didn't agree with Eisenhower. They're certainly not going to agree with the fire chief all the time. But at the end of the day, they were all working their butts off out there in a very risky business, trying to perform for the citizens of this district day in and day out. And they did a phenomenal and continue to do a phenomenal and superb job at that day in and day out. To the civilian staff, what can I say? Talk about the people that got the short end of the stick starting in 2009. Talk about the people that got demoted, lost their jobs, lost their houses, got laid off because of the economic conditions. They were the people that paid the ultimate sacrifice. I had a secretary who was a fire inspector, ended up being a secretary for me. That wasn't her skill set. That's what she had to do, and her husband ended up getting demoted all the way down. And, you know, I watched people lose their houses. And the civilian staff paid the highest price. Not the uniform, the civilian. And so I'm proud that we've been able to somewhat rebuild that core of the finance division and human resources and those different logistics and those different groups, fleet and that. They're so important to making this district run. We can't operate without it. To General Counsel, you have the best law firm that I know of, and I've worked with a lot of lawyers to provide you general counsel information. They are phenomenal. They are accurate, and they don't charge a fortune. And I mean that. When you look at their legal bills and what they charge, I'm dumbfounded, quite frankly. Because where I come from, they're 2 to 3 times that on a regular basis. So your value for what you're getting is second to none in legal advice. I don't know anybody better at a great, great price, and in all the sincerity, tremendous people to work with. To the clerk, what a great addition. You're also lucky to have Melissa Pania. It's going to be tremendous. She's going to do a great job. To Mark Wells, the new fire chief, hats off. He's going to do an incredible job. He's got an incredible team, Chief Holbrook with him, and the others that have been promoted, so many, I'm unclear as to who got what and when. This transition has been truly the most professional transition I think that happens. In transitions, Chief Wells has been introduced to the people across the state that he needs to be introduced to. Chief Wells has essentially been running for the last month a decision-making process. I'm simply there for advise and consult, and that's the way it is, and I couldn't be prouder to count him as the next fire chief of Metro to succeed me, but also as a friend. And the same thing to Chief Holbrook. Both those individuals are second to none. You're not going to find anybody any better out there. My secretary, Jill, who's here in the back. Brenda first. I said this about Brenda earlier. Brenda's been terrific and takes care and keeps me in line and where I need to go and where I need to stand and what's happening, and it's just tremendous. I mean, huge asset. And it's amazing to me that people wanted to get rid of her when I got here in 2009. You don't need that position anymore. Very short-sighted thinking. So Brenda, thank you, thank you, thank you. Jill, my rock. Jill Guzman is the finest administrative assistant and secretary a leader could ever want. She did the work of 3 full-time jobs, running the Metro Chiefs, dealing with the Cal Chiefs, dealing with the League of Cities, and then dealing with the day-to-day operations here, because we were actively involved. I led the Metro Chiefs for 2 years. We're on the executive board of Cal Chiefs. This organization, I was talking to John Wagner, who's also not going to be too far behind me next year. I mean, this organization, Metro Fire, who you could not find really anywhere on the planet across the state for a period of about 5 to 6 dark years, all of a sudden is involved in everything. And that's the way it's supposed to be, because that's a testament to the caliber of our people and talking to John tonight. But that workload fell on Jill Guzman. That workload to run everything day to day, whether it was with the elected officials or responding to emails, fell to her. And to her, I will always be eternally grateful for the work that she has done. All the directors, some of you I know better than others, but I must point out a few, and don't be offended because you may not have been involved. To Matt Kelly, the one guy that supported me from the very, very beginning when I tested for the fire chief's position way back in the day. Stuck by me through thick and thin. I think you made the right choice then. I think it was a good choice. I think people would agree. There's a whole group that wouldn't agree, but that's okay. I'm good with that. At the end of the day, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And one last person that's been on the board that came on after I was here that I didn't even think was going to come on the board was Dave Pearson. So I'm retiring, and I'm going to say a few things about Dave Pearson. Dave Pearson's a director that has fought for the citizens of this district tooth and nail. He's made the right decisions for the right reason. And the citizens should know that. Dave was a friend of mine before I came here. He does have honor and character. He keeps his word to people. It's just unfortunate that people don't always keep theirs. But that's the life of politics. Dave was a dear friend. He was a leader, and he made the right decisions for the right reason. And with that, I want to thank him. I've known him for such a long time, and I wish him the best in the election in November, because I can say that being retired. At the end of the day, what I have to say to this board is this: what a ride it's been. What an absolute career-ending, home run, Super Bowl, whatever you want to call it, ride this has been. It has been my honor, my humble honor, to serve you and to serve with each and every one of you. God bless each and every one of you. May you have a great, great career or elected stay in office. I know you all will continue the work. I will think of you often in my thoughts and prayers. God bless, goodbye, and good night.
All right. Well, Chief, it is my great honor to request a motion from this body.
I'll make that motion.
The motion has been made
I'll second it.
and seconded to adopt the resolution 2014-99, honoring forever Fire Chief Kurt P. Henke, who led and guided Metro Fire through some of its darkest days and did so as a shining light. We will forever be grateful. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Director Monk,
Aye.
Director Wood,
Aye.
Director Scheidegger,
Aye.
Director Clark,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
and Director Gould.
A vanguard, yes.
Congratulations, Chief Henke. Motion passes.
Thank you. Now what I'd like to do is close this very important meeting, Chief. Close this meeting with a moment of silence for a firefighter, a gentleman who paid, again, the ultimate price for our community. Ladies and gentlemen, this meeting is now adjourned.